My name is Dr. Andy Sun, and I direct the Office of Military and Veterans Services. I want to welcome you to the George Washington community. Today's session is intended to cover some frequently asked questions about the military student experience at George Washington University. And I am very fortunate to have today here a number of our team members and members of the GW community who support the success of military students at George Washington University. First and foremost, we're going to do an overview of the Office of Military and Veterans Services, which is a holistic one-stop shop to help with any questions you may have about your benefits. But our mission goes beyond that. We also build community. We emphasize student engagement, and we also emphasize academic achievement and career development within our mission. So Mac, if you go to the next slide. GW, among private research universities, has one of the largest number of military students of any private research university in the United States, and we're really proud of that fact. This graphic gives you a representation of the breakdown of the various diverse members of our military community. More importantly, the image is, it's all about individuals. And really that is our office's goal, is to help you individually with any question you may have. And we are here to help. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We answer, if you email us at vetserve@gwu.edu, we're here to help. And then most importantly, during this orientation, after this orientation, if you have more specific questions for us, our goal in today's session is to answer any general questions, but then also to schedule some time with you if you need some individual time with us. If you have any questions or any sort of things that might be stressing you out, our goal is to address your questions and to lessen your stress about the transition process to George Washington University. Want to introduce our team. We have a number of individuals who are here to help. I guess a little bit about my background. I've been at GW for a few decades. I had the real honor of implementing the Office of Military and Veterans Services at GW and also implementing the Ribbon program at GW. It's one of the highlights of my career in student affairs. Next, you're going to hear a lot from Mac today. Mac Manning serves as our program manager. A little bit about Mac's background. Mac has served at GW. Mac, you're going on year number, what, four-ish?
Yes, sir.
4 years, and a little bit more on Mac's background also. And Mac will talk with you a lot more about our community building efforts, as well as some of the frequently asked questions, answers to frequently asked questions about education benefits. We're also fortunate to have on the team Caroline Cole. Caroline's going to also take part of today's session and also talk about some of those answers to frequently asked questions. Caroline's a recent graduate of GW Law School, and really fortunate to have her on board this summer and into the fall. Our final Military and Veterans Services staff member is Colin Markstrom. Colin is currently on deployment in Africa, but he'll be returning to us in the fall semester. So you'll have the pleasure of meeting Colin at some point during the academic year. And next, I want to introduce one of our special guests and colleagues, Laura Ferraro of the Department of Veterans Affairs. And Laura's going to talk about Chapter 31 benefits and also about the VEX Success on Campus program. So over to Laura.
Thank you, Andy. Mac, next slide, please. So good afternoon, everyone. Like Andy said, my name is Laura Ferraro. I work for Department of Veterans Affairs as a Vet Success on Campus counselor under the Veterans Readiness and Employment Program, formerly known as Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment. So I just want to quickly kind of go over some of the things for the role of being a VSOC. So our whole program's mission is to provide student veterans access to VA services. So we want to support you through your transition to college and university campuses, support your individual goals, make sure that you're able to be successful to graduate, and then help you make that transition over to your employment goal. So with the VSOC program, there's about 90 campuses nationwide that have a VSOC. So GW is They ended up getting one of us for the past, I don't know, since 2013 maybe. So it's been great to be on campus. I've been at GW since 2016. And then next, Mac, next slide, I'm going to be discussing VRNE. So again, that's Veterans Readiness and Employment, formerly known as VOC Rehab. So if you are a veteran, in order to be eligible for VRNE, you have to have an honorable or other than dishonorable discharge and either a memorandum rating of 20%, meaning that the VA will at least grant you a 20% service-connected disability, or you need a minimum 10% of a documented service-connected disability. If you are an active duty service member, you need to expect to receive an honorable discharge, obtain a VA memorandum rating of 20% or more, or be going through the IDES process, meaning that you are going through the med board, you're going through the process to determine if you are going to be medically discharged from the military. If this is your case, you're actually automatically entitled to VRNE under the National Defense Authorization Act of 2008, which is also known as NDAA. Next slide. So within VRNE, we have 5 different tracks. So we have reemployment, that is for the National Guard or Reserve. So if you're returning back from active duty and you need some job responsibilities changed, or you can no longer do a certain aspect of your job, or you need new accommodations, we will work with you and your employer as you return back to work and make sure that that job is suitable for you. We have rapid access to employment. So if you are ready to look for work now, you're just having a hard time getting through on the civilian side, or maybe you just need some help with your resume, interviewing skills, we have an employment coordinator that you would work with directly and provide the job ready services that you need. We also have employment through long-term services. That is our education piece of the program. So if it's determined that you need to go to school in order to find a suitable job, we will retrain you. We will pay 100% of your tuitions, fees, books, required supplies. And you have up to 48 months of VRNE benefits to attend school. We have independent living services. So that is if your disabilities are too severe where you cannot return to work. We would assist you in becoming more independent in your home and in your community by providing accommodations. And then we have self-employment. If you are able to work but cannot work in a traditional work environment, we will work with you in determining a potential self-run business. We would set you up with a small business association to make sure that is a viable business. And then we'll provide whatever services that we can to help you with that business. Mac, next slide, please. So we get a lot of questions of VRNE and the GI Bill. So we are totally different from the GI Bill. The GI Bill is strictly an education program. So with VRNE, our purpose is to help veterans with service-connected disabilities and have barriers to employment become suitably employed. So in all of those 5 tracks I discussed, 4 of the 5 were geared towards employment. The end goal is employment. And then the E in VRNE stands for employment, and that's our whole mission, is assisting veterans and service members with obtaining suitable employment. The difference between our programs, the GI Bill offers 36 months of entitlement, while VRNE provides 48. The GI Bill, you have a book stipend. We pay whatever your required books are, in addition to any supplies that you may need. And we do pay 100% of the tuition and fees. There's no need for yellow ribbon with our program because whatever the cost of the tuition is what we will pay. And back, next slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Appreciate your taking the time to join us today. So we also have a number of partners across the university who support the mission of military and veteran services, as well as support military students overall. The individual unfortunately couldn't join us today is Michael Notaro, who is GW Vets president. Michael is the president of the Student Veterans of America chapter at GW. And Mac's going to talk a little bit more about the mission of that chapter and how it works really closely with our office as well as military students at GW. It's a very strong chapter of over 250 members, and Mike has been a great leader of that chapter over the last I guess, year or so. the other individual is luckily has joined us today, and that's Marva Gums Jennings. And Marva has been a close colleague of mine for some time and has worked really closely with military and veteran students in terms of career development and education. So I'll take this opportunity to turn it over to Marva, who is an amazing career education professional and great ally and colleague of ours. So over to Marva. Thank you for joining us today, Marva.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to you and Mac for including me. Hello, everyone. I'm very similar to Andy. I've been at GW for a few decades and started working with Andy on really bringing the career services element to military and veteran services. And that has been a wonderful collaboration because we've really have been able to have no holes barred in terms of what we've wanted to do with alumni and employers, etc. Just as background, I'm an alumna of the university as well, so come from that perspective. And my role really is to share with you that while this presentation and your orientation is really about becoming oriented to all that GW has to offer to you through this office and academically, I'm the little voice that's saying, as soon as you get settled, it's going to be important for you to start thinking about where you're going to take your major and what your future is. So, and Laura and I work closely, and her goal is employment, and my goal is very similar. I call it career development because frequently it involves everything from helping you figure out how to translate what you know and what you've done in the military, and that goes for dependents and veterans, current service, etc. And also help you to understand some of the industries that are exceptionally interested in recruiting individuals with a military background at GW, and we have a real strong partnership with employers. And so usually I say, get settled your very first semester, kind of get to know the lay of the land, and then really take a stab at meeting either with myself or the Career Center director in a particular school. GW is very fortunate in that we have a wealth of centers that are focused on particular schools. I happen to represent the Maine Career Center, and the Maine Career Center works closely with undergrad students, selected graduate students, and then special populations. So in my portfolio are military and veteran students, students with disabilities, etc. And so some of the things that we will do together, and you will see, I contribute to the Dog Tags newsletter. So I try to keep abreast of positions, whether internships or full-time jobs that are seeking individuals with your background. And also just really good articles and tips and workshops that are of a co-curricular nature that help you really supplement what you're doing in theory. So I'm the practice piece, you're getting the theory piece, and that's what I really feel strongly about. GW has an amazing alumni network, whether through GW Vets or through the GW Alumni Association. There's a very, very active LinkedIn group, and the Office of Alumni Relations and the Career Center have formed a mentoring / networking platform called GW Career Connect. And that platform is where current students can really talk to alumni about what they've done. And I think that it's particularly strong because it's a place where you can be really relaxed. The affinity group is that it's all within the GW community, and you can ask questions like, well, why did you decide to start in this particular area? Where do you think it's going to take you? What's challenging about it? How did COVID-19 affect what you were doing and how your work is structured? And that really helps give you a better sense of some of the things that you'd like to do. We have been able with our partners at MVS to host site visits it has been virtual in the last year, but to the State Department. We've also done a pitch program where we've brought 20 to 30 employers to campus just to coach students with your background on how to make your pitch to a particular employer, with the underlying principle of learning about all of these organizations that are varied from government to nonprofit, public sector, and of course, private sector, who really have different kinds of opportunities. We have a portal called Handshake. I want to be the first to share that. It's a portal with jobs, internships. You are automatically uploaded into Handshake, and you can go in and adjust your information in the middle of July so that you can begin to tap into different kinds of experiences. GW will find is a very experience-centric institution. Many of our students or many of your classmates are looking to expand their experience and get different kinds of experience. You have experience already, and we'll help you translate that, and will also help you think about other kinds of experience to supplement what you have. And so you will see information from me in the future that's related to the fairs that we do here at GW, in which everyone is welcomed, but typically I share with employers who our military students are, and I share the same information with you. And so you'll see that information coming up at least in the fall. There'll be at least 3 or more fairs. And we'll probably continue to do our virtual visits to different areas of the country. And we'll begin to talk a little bit more about how you can use the GW network, which includes faculty. I mentioned alumni before, and also staff. I mean, most of us know an incredible amount of people, and we're always willing to connect you to those folks. So again, if nothing else, in addition to my welcome, just to say there are a number of resources that will help you start to make the transition. It sounds strange to say this, but to make the transition from what you're doing academically and majoring in to life after GW. That's kind of what I call it, because believe it or not, it goes by fairly quickly. And so I am going to stop. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. But take care and welcome again.
Thank you very much, Marva. And we also have on the screen Marva's contact information, as well as the president of GW Vet's contact information in case you have any questions, or if you want to get to know them, definitely reach out. And thank you so much, Marva, for your time today. And we'll certainly monitor their chat. If any questions come up, we'll share those with you. The next part of our presentation, thank you. The next part of our presentation is about benefits processing. And within the Military and Veterans Services Office, we have all of our professional staff members, myself, Mac Manning, Caroline Cole, and also Colin Markstrom, are school certifying officials. So we are trained and authorized to submit benefits information to the Department of Veterans Affairs. I guess with that, Mac is going to walk us through some of the key topics within benefits processing. So over to Mac.
Yeah, so I'm just going to run through sort of the nitty-gritty of what is required in order for military veteran services to be able to certify your educational benefit if you're using GI Bill for the academic year. But essentially, we need 3 main items in order for you to be certified: a certificate of eligibility, a social security number on file, and a request for certification form. We do have a admitted student checklist, which I'll go over in a little bit. That's much more encompassing of all the other nitty-gritty details that you might need. But basically, when you're getting started on the process, those are the 3 main items. But first of all, what is a certificate of eligibility? It's essentially the proof document of entitlement from the VA. Those of you that have served a total of 36 months or even less may be entitled to some type of educational benefit through the VA. But just having like a D-214 or just knowing you're about a proof of service isn't necessarily enough. You have to formally apply to the VA and receive that certificate of eligibility stating from them, and you actually submit that to our office. We do take a screenshot of what's called the e-benefits page, which if you go to va.gov and formally apply, at the end it will say, hey, you qualify for this. We will take a screenshot because this process to receive the COE can take up to 30 months. In the past, we have required this every 2 years, and we have sort of decided this past year that we are going to nullify that decision and allow that to be consistent. So if you are 100% eligible and you're not on active duty, we will not require a new COE. However, we still recommend that you submit one as many times as possible for one simple reason that as you're running out of benefits or as your number of entitlement changes, we are as up to date as possible and are able to answer questions of like, how much entitlement do I have left? The more up to date information we have, the better we are to assist you. Additionally, if your entitlement changes, so maybe you go from 80% to 90%, or maybe you are no longer active duty, we will require updated certificate eligibility to verify that information, because otherwise we are ill-equipped to assist you in that process. Secondly, we need a social security number on file. We need this in order to verify your information and create your profile in the VA system. This can be submitted to the registrar. It is electronically encrypted and safe. Unfortunately, our office cannot take this information, again, for security purposes to make sure that your data is protected. It is a process that has been streamlined through the registrar's office, so we recommend contact them directly if you'd like to submit this information. But many times, if you complete a FAFSA, it will also be added to your information as well. Finally, we need a request for certification form on file. This is filled out on the GWeb portal. Basically what this is you telling Military and Veteran Services Office that I want to use my educational benefits for said term. So if you were coming into the fall semester and you want to use your educational benefit, you have to go in there, physically select what semester you're using it and what chapter you'd like to use it. Because veterans may qualify for multiple different chapters. Veterans may also have several different scholarships or different circumstances. So they are not our benefits to decide when you use them. They are your benefits to tell us when to use them. If you have any issues to this, my recommendation is to call our office directly and just ask how the process goes every single semester. And by the end, you'll sort of get the hang of it. Again, this needs to be completed every semester. So we start off with the certificate of eligibility submitted once, unless things change. And then a social security number submitted, which will only take once, but a request for certification form filled out every single semester. As I mentioned, we do have an admitted student checklist. It can be found on military.gwu.edu. It can be located on our using your benefits portion of the website. It's a 14-point step on every single thing that you might need from applying for educational benefits through the VA to receive your certificate of eligibility, to completing a FAFSA, to contacting our office and following up at the end. We've written this to be encompassing, but again, those three main areas are things that we require in order to be able to, at minimum, certify you for the upcoming academic year. We are sort of the main area that handles all educational benefits. We do Chapter 33, otherwise known as Post 9/11, Chapter 30, which is the Montgomery GI Bill, Chapter 31, which is Veteran Readiness and Employment, as Laura sort of mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. We do the certification and packaging processing. However, you do have a VA counselor that should also be one of your main points of contact through that as well. Chapter 35, which is Survivors and Dependents, Chapter 1606, and then we're also the point of contact for tuition assistance benefits. This year in particular, we've been working with the Army Ignited system. So if you are using that tuition assistance, we are still the main point of contact through that process. We also do financial aid counseling as it relates to GI Bill education benefits. And then we can talk you through what to expect for monthly housing allowance depending on your rate of pursuit, meaning how many classes you're taking for that semester. So for example, in order to be 100% for BAH, you'd have to, if you're a graduate level student, you typically have to take about 9 credits or 3 classes. So what happens if you're taking 7 credits? We can talk you through what you can expect to receive within that given situation. But we will talk more about BH in a later slide. At this point in time, we want to talk a little bit about the Yellow Ribbon program. I'm going to turn it over to Caroline to discuss that a little bit further and in more detail on how that process works.
Thanks, Mac. Can you hear me okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GW, and thank you for joining us today. As many of you know, as a private university, the tuition at GW can seem high, and students using the GI Bill often find that the cap doesn't cover the entirety of their tuition. Luckily, GW is a Yellow Ribbon, YRP for short, school and in combination with the VA, through this program provides additional funds on top of the GI Bill cap. To qualify for the YRP, a student must be both 100% eligible and not be on active duty at any point in the semester. So unfortunately, even if you are active duty for just one day during the semester, you will not qualify for YRP. The VA is expected to change this policy and has posted on its website that active duty students will become eligible for YRP starting in the fall of 2022. But as a school, we haven't received the official word on that yet. So for this fall, you'll have to be 100% eligible and not on active duty. One of the great things about GW is that it does not limit the number of students who can receive YRP funds. So if you qualify, you will receive them. Could you hit the next slide for me, Mac? Thanks. The amount of funds is dependent on the student's level of study. So as you can see in the chart here, undergraduates have a total amount of 50,000 in funds available. So 25,000 of that will come from GW, and the other 25,000 will come from the VA. Graduate students, it's going to be 32,800, again, split between GW and the VA. And for law students, it's 40,400. We're going to actually, Matt, can you go to the next slide so I can do the example? So the way we'll certify you is we use your cap first. So we'll go through all your GI Bill cap funds, and then we'll start to dip into your yellow ribbon. So let's say we have a student, General Washington. He is 100% eligible, and he's no longer active duty, and he is also an undergraduate student. So he's going to have 50,000 available in yellow ribbon. His tuition for the fall is 30,000. So MVS, our office, is going to bill all of his tuition to the VA, and they'll first pay out the GI Bill cap. So for fall, that's going to be $26,042.81. And the remaining tuition is going to be paid by YRP, and it will be split in two, half from the VA, half from GW. So the VA would send another $1,978.59, and GW would match that. So his total tuition would be paid. This will leave him a remainder of about $23,000 for YRP in the spring semester. So again, he should likely be covered in the spring semester, but if his tuition is $30,000 again, he might have some out-of-pocket expenses. $30,000 is a little high for just one semester, so we find most students are completely covered by the GI Bill and YRP. I think that's it. Anything you want to add, Matt?
Yeah, I apologize. Actually, so with that, you would actually have 46,000 remaining of yellow ribbon contributions, because you would that would
you double it.
It would be 23,000 would be what was remaining of your yellow ribbon contribution, because they've only used 1,978. I picked 30,000 to be a clean number, and it gave us a awkward yellow ribbon payout, but ultimately you would have 46,000. So again, if your tuition was 30,000 going into the spring semester, which is not totally uncommon if you're taking a lot of classes for an undergraduate, you potentially would still in that scenario still be covered and not have any out-of-pocket costs. Where we find students have out-of-pocket costs, particularly if they're a high-level graduate student, obviously the yellow ribbon contribution is a little bit less. It's 16,400 is if they're overloading in courses. Remember, this whole equation is fall, spring, and summer. So it begins August 1st and ends July 31st. So essentially August 1st to August 1st, you have the entirety of that equation from the total cap, which next year is going to be $26,042.81, plus your two yellow ribbon contributions, which if you're an undergraduate student is about $50,000 in addition. And then August 1st to restart again. Andy, go ahead.
And I had one more thing to add. We encourage students who are less than 100% eligible for post 9/11 GI Bill, or who might think they might be exceeding the cap, to please contact us. We're happy to sit down with you to do an estimate for how far the benefits may go, and if applicable, what your out-of-pocket cost estimate would be for the academic year. So we really encourage students who are not who think they might be exceeding the various caps to get in touch with us. And in particular, we really recommend individuals not 100% eligible for Chapter 33 or post 9/11 GI Bill to definitely schedule a call with us so we can give you a sense of your out-of-pocket cost. That's Mac.
So I want to touch on this 36-month window. Essentially, when you first start off applying for your educational benefits, you begin with a total of 36 months of entitlement. It doesn't matter if you're using Chapter 31. It doesn't matter if you're using Chapter 33 or Chapter 35 or Chapter 30. You typically have 36 months. The reason is the VA calculated that a student coming out of active duty and 100% eligible should be able to take 4.5 months of classes. You title 4.5 months times 8, that's 4 years of school, and that should earn them a bachelor's degree. On traditional, most undergraduate degrees, you are in class, or graduate level, you're actually in class about 4 months, so not 4.5. So most students who start to finish, who begin from the beginning of their freshman year and earn a bachelor's degree, actually have a little bit of entitlement left over that they may be able to take into a graduate level program should they decide. But essentially, the other important thing to note of this is if you're going full-time, you will subtract the physical time you're in the classroom. So if you're enrolled in a fall semester and it's 4 months and 3 days, that's the amount of, and you're going full-time, that's the amount of entitlement that the VE subtract from you. They will send you an updated COE to the day of the amount of entitlement they subtract. Another important thing to understand is if you're going part-time, they will prorate this 36 months of entitlement that they're going to subtract for you. So for example, if you're going full-time as an undergraduate, that's typically 12 credits. Let's say you're an undergraduate and you're taking 6 credits and you take it for 4 months. The VA would actually only subtract about 2 months because you're only going 50% of the time. So they would prorate what they subtract. So some veterans feel that, or service members feel that it's lucrative or more lucrative to go full-time. Because they're wasting benefits. It's sort of set up so that you're not in a bad position, whatever way you decide to take it. Ultimately, Military Veteran Services is not responsible to tell you what to do. It's to make sure that you have a very informed decision so that you can make the best decision for yourself. So I want to talk a little bit about what the basic allowance for housing rate would be depending on your situation. So if you are a traditional undergraduate, or graduate level student, doesn't really matter. You could potentially, using GI Bill education benefits, you could potentially receive basic allowance for housing or BAH. The BAH rate for the Foggy Bottom area is about $2,500 a month, and that's for the physical time in classroom. Okay, so for example, our spring semester typically starts 10 days into January. Obviously, the past year it started January 11th was the first day of spring classes. You would not receive $2,500 for the entire month of January, even if you were full-time, even if you were 100%, because you had not been in class for the first 11 days, you would receive a prorated amount for the month of January. The same is true for our fall semester. We typically finish classes going into the holiday break in December, so that would be prorated as well. So in terms of financial planning for yourself, you need to make sure that you are evaluating what you owe. In terms of what educational benefit or what the rate is for different areas, it is dependent on the specific zip code, and that is available to be looked up through the VA. If you are an online student and only an online student, then you would receive the online BAH rate, which is $910. This is also really important, is if you are taking in-person classes and online classes, the VA would look at that as a hybrid model, and a hybrid model gets paid an in-person BAH rate. Obviously, there's discrepancies within that equation. So if you took an in-person class for a couple of days, and then the whole semester you took online, you could expect the VA to prorate that as well. So another important element of our process is the VA, Military Veteran Services, uses a 2-step certification process, meaning we will certify you twice. We will first certify you in the beginning of the semester with your tuition rate being 0. A question that many people have is, why would we do that? Well, we would do this in order to certify you so that it kickstarts your basic allowance for housing and your book stipend money. But it doesn't have any money going back and forth between the university and the VA. We will certify you as the tuition rates being 0, and then after the add drop period, we will certify the tuition in full and send to the VA. The add drop period is typically a month to a month and a half into the semester. So if you owe a bill going into the semester or going into a month in the semester, feel free to call our office and we'll talk you through this 2-step process and why we do it. The reason ultimately we do this is if you adjust your schedule and change what you would owe to the university, money doesn't go back and forth between us, and it simplifies the accounting process and makes sure that we have everything straight in order for you. It also is a little bit more forgiving in terms of making sure the VA pays out what is necessary for them to pay out. Another big question that we often receive is my bill due on the first day of the term? Regardless of if you are a partial GI Bill student or 100% eligible, the answer is no. Student accounts may send you emails because a lot of times those are auto-generated emails regarding your upcoming bill for the academic year, and you may in fact receive late fees holds. That is pretty rare. We do make sure that that does not happen, but feel free to call us and we can remove those pretty quick. You are protected from late fees holds, provided that you complete everything, aka submit a request for certification and send us an updated certificate of eligibility. We have to go through the process with the VA in order to have the money come in. And another big question is if you are a partial student, meaning maybe you're only 50% eligible, so the VA would only pay up to 50% of your tuition, and you would have out-of-pocket costs for the semester, you are not obligated to pay your portion on the first day of the term. In fact, there is legislation in place to protect you from that. You can pay it after the VA money comes in, and you can basically make a good faith payment to student accounts, and they will work with you as best as they can. So another thing, just a reminder, we are the point of contact for tuition assistance. So if you are using TA, don't hesitate to reach out to our office directly. We do have some scholarships available if you go to student resources of military.gwu.edu. We also offer some financial aid counseling. Another really important thing is our office specifically offers emergency loans to the military affiliated students. So if you're using GI Bill education benefits, it is important to know that even if we certify you in a very timely manner, that first semester may be very delayed for you to receive your basic allowance for housing. That does not necessarily change just because the VA delays when they pay that out, or maybe our office, or maybe you request late to receive your BEH. That doesn't really change the fact that your rent may be due. So our office has developed an interest-free loan up to 1 month's worth of basic allowance for housing. So if you're receiving $2,500 a month, because you're 100% eligible, we can issue a $2,500 emergency loan. The caveat to that is it does have to be paid off in full by the end of the term. Otherwise, you will receive a hold on your account. So just something important to keep in mind. You can just come down to our office or email us and we can walk you through how to receive an emergency loan if you need it. All courses that you take have to be applicable to your major. So the analogy I give is you have to actively be moving the ball forward within your degree map in order to graduate. So you can't just take one class here and one class here that don't apply to you getting a degree. It has to be applicable to your degree map, and that's something very important. The VA will not pay for those. So don't take a class just to make yourself full-time so that you get the full BH unless it is part of your degree plan. The only exception to that rule is in your last semester, the VA has a rule called the round-out rule, meaning that they will let you take courses that are not required to graduate in order for you to make yourself full-time so you can maximize your basic allowance for housing. They just came out with policy and legislature and basically saying that those courses, even though you're technically rounding out, have to still be related to your major. So they can't be something like basket weaving. If you're a science major, it has to be science oriented or science related. And again, we can walk you through if it would be applicable and fill within this category, but that's not something you necessarily have to worry about until you come to close to graduating. And again, we can walk you through that. If you happen to get something like a Pell Grant or another type of grant that's not tuition specific, you may be entitled to a refund. For many of you, if you made an enrollment deposit, that gets billed into your tuition, which we will bill in full. So if you made a $300 enrollment deposit, you'll have a $300 plus balance in your account that you can then request a refund for. Refunds, when you request it through the GWeb portal, will automatically be denied. The reason they're denied is you're a GI Bill using student. Our office has to review them to ensure that no money has to be sent back to the VA, because if we issued it back to you, then you would owe that money to the VA. And we want to avoid that as much as possible. But it will automatically, once you request it, you'll get a note saying it's automatically denied. Our office will review it and then issue it out. You don't have to do anything once you make the request. Feel free to call us to verify that that's the case and there's nothing else you need to do. But again, we will double check and make sure it all squares away. It's all squared away, and we will issue that refund as quickly as possible. And finally, a book stipend money. A book stipend, if you're using Chapter 33 post 9/11 or just Chapter 33 with the yellow ribbon, is about $42 per credit. So if you're taking, whether it's 3, 6, or 9 credits, or 12 or 15, just multiply that by $42, and that's what you can expect to receive along the same time as your first BAH payment. If you are getting a book stipend, it only goes up to $1,000. So if you're taking 15 credits your first semester, 15 times 42 is going to get pretty close. I think it's in the 600s. You know, the next semester, the max you would get is in the 400s. So we'll go up to $1,000 per the academic year. Again, August 1st until the next August 1st. So talking a little bit satisfactory academic progress. I'm going to turn it over to Andy.
Thanks, Mac. I'll take this slide. So in terms of your academic success, GW and the Office of Military and Veteran Services is committed to supporting your academic achievement. GW has a lot of academic support in place, both for students who are taking residential classes and those who might be online. Some of the highlights that we like to be sure that students are aware of is GW's Academic Commons, which is both an in-person service center as well as an online service center. So the Academic Commons offers a writing center, it offers STEM tutoring, and it also, so it offers all of that both in person and online. So we want to make sure that you're aware of those services for all GW students. In terms of benefit usage, one policy that's really important for students to be aware of is satisfactory academic progress. So we say this at the start of, I guess, during orientation, because we want to make sure that you understand some of the minimum GPAs for both undergraduate and graduate students in terms of benefit usage. And in terms of the benefit usage, there is, in terms of these GPAs, individuals must have the minimum GPA. There is a 1 semester grace period after the GPA is under this particular level. It's 2.0 for undergraduate students and 3.0 for graduate students. There's a 1 semester grace, and then the second semester is called SAP denial. And that semester, the main impact on VA benefits is that the All Ribbon program payments will not be awarded to students who are in SAP denial. So just something to take a note of. The other thing we encourage students to do is to come to our office if you're deciding to drop courses after the drop add period in a given semester. Oftentimes this might have an impact on your benefits, your BAH, some of the payments. So please contact us to get a sense of the impact of dropping or changing courses in terms of your VA benefits. And we also encourage students to resubmit a request for certification if they indeed add a class or drop a class. So particularly if those classes have different dates, so please contact us if you're changing around your schedule, because that may impact your education benefits. Mac, anything else to add on this screen?
Nope,
I think we're all set. Okay, yeah, if you can move on to the next slide. Just a few other policies to note as you're embarking upon your GW academic experience. One really important VA policy: you may only be pursuing one degree at a time. So if you're completing a degree in, let's say, biology, you cannot embark on a master's. Let's say you're going for a Bachelor of Science in biology. You can't at the same time be embarking on a Master of Science degree in biology. All of the degree requirements must relate to degree 1 before you have to graduate from degree 1 to then start degree 2, Master of Science in biology, for instance. Mac had mentioned this one, but I'll mention it again. All the courses you're taking must be under your degree plan and relate to graduation requirements. This is federal regulation. If you take a course that's not within your degree plan, the VA is not going to pay for it. The other thing, VA policy, is that study abroad is limited to individuals who are required to specifically study abroad for their programs. Most GW programs, this is not a requirement. So again, if you have questions about study abroad and what the VA will pay, please contact us before you sign up for a study abroad program. We want to make sure that expectations are clear about what the VA will pay in terms of study abroad, but it's a very limited policy in terms of what the VA will pay for. Finally, deployments and leaves of absence. So In this case too, please, we are your advocate. We are here to help you navigate along with the your academic advisor. If something does occur in terms of leave of absence, duty, deployments, we're here to help you. GW, by and large, has a very flexible policy in terms of if you're called to active duty military service, to drill, to any sort of assignment from that standpoint. We are here to help you out. In many cases, and so generally, you're given two different options. You can decide to drop your courses for this semester and start over at no penalty. Or the second option is you can take some incompletes and work with your professors to make up the work at a later time. You also have a very smooth transition. So when you come back from your deployment or your duty, you have a smooth transition back to your program. I believe the policy is that you have a 5-year window to come back into that program. It's a Department of Education federal policy. So, but consult our office if that's something on the table for you. We're here to help you out. That's about it for that slide, Mac. Go on to the next one, unless you had anything else to add. And I'm going to turn over to Mac to talk more about the Military Community Center and other things that we have to build community and to engage you within the GW community.
Yep. So we have a couple additional resources for on-campus or all military-affiliated students. If you find yourself in Froggy Bottom, which is our main campus, you feel free to come to 2035 F Street, which is our Military Community Center. It has a lounge, outdoor and indoor additional seating. There are work studies that are employed within that facility, as well as room for study, and also a very small kitchenette with free coffee. We do update this facility on an ongoing basis because it is one of the oldest townhouses in the District of Columbia, but we are thrilled to have it, and this is a resource that is for you. If you find yourself in the area on a frequent basis, you can gain tap access to this facility. It is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 for just push the door open, so anyone can come in. But when it's not staffed, it is locked and you can gain tap access. You do not have access to this facility after 1 in the morning until about 4 in the morning. I don't see a reason why anyone would need that facility, but between the hours, if you want to be a little bit later and do some study hours, or maybe you have a later class and you live in, maybe Arlington, it's a great resource to have on the Foggy Bottom main campus. We do send out in the summer, it is a biweekly or monthly newsletter, but in the school year, it's a weekly newsletter. It's called the Dog Tags e-newsletter, which all incoming new students are added to this list. Includes things like jobs, updates, or new policies regarding VA educational benefits, upcoming events, scholarship information, and as Marva had mentioned in the beginning, job opportunities. This is sort of a process and a partnership that we work with to put out this newsletter with military veterans and GW veterans. And it's filled with just a lot of great resources. You can opt out of it if you don't want to have it. I recognize that you are inundated with a lot of newsletters, but if you are part of the military affiliate community, specifically for reminders regarding GI Bill education benefits and updates on policy, it is a great resource to continue to open and take a look at. We are active on social media on Instagram at GW Veterans Group. They run their own social media platforms. As I mentioned, they partner with me and Military Veteran Services in regards of all of our activities. We've done things like powerlifting competitions. We've greeted honor flights and done 5K walks and runs. We've done Top Golf, and a lot of this stuff is free. We've done kayaking in the Potomac, hiking all around the area. And then we also do annual, about 4 to 5 times a year, we do socials at the Froggy Bottom Brew Pub. And we're open to doing socials in other areas as well. So they're a great resource, just a good way to connect other students and alumni with each other, and a lot of students come back. So just a little bit of additional information regarding our resources. We have a frequently asked questions portion of our website, military.gw.edu, again, student resources. The frequently asked questions will answer a lot of the questions and policies and procedures that you may encounter as an incoming student, or if you want some more clarification. And then also we have some tutoring assistance, and then also connections and contact information for Marbury's Career Services resources as well. Again, we've worked very hard as part of the COVID response effort to make sure that our website was streamlined and had a lot of great resources and information. That a lot of things that are necessary are linked to the VA website as well. So feel free to use that as a main resource. But our office additionally is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we are located in the ground floor of the Marvin Center. So not only do we have the Military Community Center as a main point of contact, but we also have the main office of Military and Veteran Services as well. Our email is vetserv@gw.edu, which is the same email that you could send any documents such as a certificate of eligibility or any other thing that you might want to submit to us as well, like tuition assistance forms. At this time, what we'll do, and I know Anthony has a question specifically that he wants to get on the call with. If anyone has any questions and they want to call our office, I will be on the phone lines to answer and go more in depth with your specific situation. If you have a detail that you want to ask about your account and we want to pull up your specific information, we will be able to answer that. We'll be on the phone lines until 5 p.m. today. So thank you very much for joining us. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to call our office at any time, as I mentioned, when we're open. We will be sending out this presentation through the same resource that we sent the welcome letter. Again, thank you very much for coming. Have a great rest of your day. Raise high.